Lisa Martinez walked through the halls of Nexus Prime with a warm smile on her face. The massive space station was home to the Galactic Council, and today marked 3 years since humanity had joined this great community of alien races. Her blue, diplomatic uniform was clean and pressed, and her brown hair was pulled back in a neat bun. She looked like any other human diplomat, calm and friendly. The station buzzed with activity. Tall, gray-skinned Altarians glided past her with their flowing robes. Short, stocky dwarven miners from the Kepler system nodded respectfully as she passed. Even the proud, scaled Krillians gave her polite greetings. Everyone seemed to like the humans. Lisa entered the main council chamber where alien leaders from across the galaxy were gathering for the weekly meeting. Chancellor Vextal, the Zephyrian leader, approached her with his forearms spread wide in a gesture of welcome. "Ambassador Martinez," he said in his musical voice, "how wonderful to see humanity's representative again. Your people continue to amaze us with your peaceful nature." Lisa smiled wider. "Thank you, Chancellor. We're just happy to be part of such a diverse community." "It's refreshing," Vextal continued, "to have a species that chooses diplomacy over warfare. So many races in the galaxy have violent histories. The Krillians, the Borg Collective, even my own people fought terrible wars before we learned better. But humans seem different. You appear to have skipped that dark phase entirely." Lisa nodded thoughtfully. "We believe that talking is always better than fighting." Across the galaxy, Captain Jake Harrison stood on the bridge of the UES Explorer, watching a rescue operation unfold on the mining planet Kepler 442b. The planet's main mine had collapsed, trapping hundreds of alien workers deep underground. His ship had responded to the distress call along with vessels from 3 other species. Jake was a tall man with short black hair and kind green eyes. His crew respected him, and alien crews enjoyed working with him. He had a reputation for getting things done without causing problems. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "the Altarian rescue team is requesting our help with the deep tunnels." "Of course," Jake replied. "Send teams 3 and 7. Make sure they bring the heavy lifting equipment." On the planet's surface, human rescue workers moved alongside their alien partners. They worked in perfect harmony, following safety protocols and sharing resources. The trapped miners were a mix of species, including some young Etherean scholars who had been studying the planet's geology. Dr. Emma Rodriguez was among the human rescue team. She was a small woman with curly red hair and bright blue eyes. Her specialty was xenobiology, but she had volunteered for the rescue because she couldn't bear to think of anyone suffering underground. "The air readings show we have maybe 6 hours before the deeper chambers become too dangerous," she told the Altarian team leader. "But if we work together, we can get everyone out safely." The alien nodded, impressed by her calm determination. "Your people truly care about life, don't they?" Emma smiled. "All life is precious. It doesn't matter what planet someone comes from." The rescue took 14 hours, but every single miner was brought to safety. Not one life was lost. The alien crews praised the humans for their dedication and skill. Jake's team had worked through the night, and Emma had treated injured miners from 6 different species without showing any sign of tiredness. Back on Nexus Prime, Lisa was meeting with representatives from the Etherean Collective, a group of scholar warriors who valued knowledge above all else. They had invited her to share human culture with their people. "We find your literature fascinating," said Elder Thane, an ancient Etherean with silver skin and large black eyes. "Your poets write about love, hope, and peace. Your stories speak of heroes who save others rather than conquer them. It's quite unusual in galactic literature." Lisa had brought several books to share. She opened one to a marked page and read aloud, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all beings are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The Ethereans listened with great interest. One of them, a younger scholar named Krethon, asked, "Do all humans believe this?" "It's one of our most important principles," Lisa answered. "We believe that every thinking being deserves respect and freedom." Elder Thane made notes on his datapad. "Remarkable. Most species in the galaxy have had to fight for such ideals. Your people seem to have been born with them. Over the following weeks, more stories of human kindness spread across the galaxy. Human traders were known for their fair deals. Human explorers shared their discoveries freely with other species. Human doctors treated alien patients with the same care they gave their own people. The Galactic Council began to see humanity as something special. Here was a species that could bring peace to an often violent galaxy. Several wars had been ended through human mediation. Pirates avoided systems where human ships were known to patrol, apparently intimidated by human moral authority rather than military power. Chancellor Vextal proposed giving humanity a seat on the High Tribunal, the most important decision-making body in the galaxy. They have proven themselves to be natural peacemakers, he argued in the council session. Perhaps it's time we learned from their example. The proposal was popular. Even the proud Krillians, who respected only strength, seemed impressed by humanity's ability to solve problems without violence. Their military commander, General Thakmor, had publicly stated that humans were weak but useful. Jake Harrison received orders to expand human exploration missions. His ship and others like it would work more closely with alien fleets, building trust and cooperation. Emma Rodriguez was invited to establish permanent research stations on 12 different worlds, studying alien life forms and sharing her knowledge freely. Lisa Martinez found herself busier than ever, attending meetings and negotiating agreements. Every alien species wanted to work with humanity. They all praised human wisdom, human kindness, and human dedication to peace. But sometimes, late at night in her quarters, Lisa would look out at the stars and smile a different kind of smile. It was still warm, but there was something else in it now, something the aliens didn't quite understand. The galaxy was learning to trust humanity. They saw humans as gentle shepherds who could guide them toward a better future. What they didn't yet realize was that the best shepherds were always the ones who could protect their flock from wolves, and humanity had been dealing with wolves for a very long time. The emergency alert reached Lisa Martinez at 0347 hours ship time. She'd been sleeping peacefully in her quarters aboard Nexus Prime when the communication system woke her with urgent beeping. She sat up quickly, her brown hair messy from sleep, but her mind was instantly alert. "Ambassador Martinez here," she said into the communication device. "Ma'am, we have a situation," came the voice of Commander Blake from Human Intelligence. "Proxima Station has been taken by Krillian extremists. They're holding civilian hostages." Lisa's face remained calm, but her fingers tightened slightly on the device. "How many hostages?" 312 confirmed. "Mixed species, including 47 children. The terrorists are calling themselves the Krillian Liberation Front. They want the Council to surrender 5 star systems in the disputed zone." Lisa stood and began dressing in her diplomatic uniform. "I'll be in the emergency council chamber in 10 minutes. Has anyone contacted Captain Harrison?" "His fleet is 2 days out conducting survey operations in the Vega sector. Tell him to change course, full speed." Lisa arrived at the emergency chamber to find chaos. Alien representatives were talking over each other, their voices filled with panic and anger. Chancellor Vextal was trying to maintain order, but several species were demanding immediate military action. General Thakmor of the Krillian Regular Forces was shouting angrily, "These terrorists do not represent our people. We will not be held responsible for their actions." "But they are your species," accused the Altarian representative. "Your warriors, your weapons, your ideology." Lisa took her seat and listened quietly. The situation was becoming clear through the arguments and reports. A group of 12 Krillian extremists had somehow gotten aboard Proxima Station, a civilian trade hub near the border between Council space and the disputed zones. They had taken control of the station's central hub where families from many different species lived and worked. Elder Thane of the Etherian Collective was speaking now. "We must consider a careful rescue operation. The safety of the hostages must be our primary concern. The Council security forces estimate they need at least 3 days to plan a proper assault," reported Admiral Corvex, the station's military commander. "Maybe 4 days to be certain we don't lose civilian lives." Lisa finally spoke up. What exactly are the terrorists demanding? Chancellor Vextal consulted his datapad. Complete council withdrawal from the Kepler, Vega, Centauri, Wolf, and Barnard star systems. They claim these are rightfully Krillian territory. And if the council refuses? The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the answer, but no one wanted to say it out loud. They will execute one hostage every 6 hours until their demands are met, Vextal said quietly. Lisa nodded slowly. Have they started yet? No, but they've given us until 1400 hours today to begin withdrawal. That's 8 hours from now. The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to negotiate, others demanded immediate military action despite the risks. The Etherians suggested trying to understand the terrorists' psychological motivations. The Dwarven representatives offered to tunnel into the station through the asteroid it was built on. Lisa listened to all of it with her usual calm smile, asking occasional questions, but not pushing for any particular solution. She seemed content to let the aliens debate while she observed and took notes. At 13:47 hours, the terrorists made good on their threat. A live transmission appeared on every screen in the galaxy. A young Altarian child, no more than 8 years old, stood in the middle of Proxima Station's main plaza. Her large black eyes were filled with tears, but she stood bravely. The camera showed a Krillian extremist raising a weapon. The child didn't cry or beg. She just looked directly into the camera and said, "Tell my parents I love them." The weapon fired. The transmission ended. The emergency chamber erupted in shouts and cries of rage. Several alien representatives wept openly. General Thakmor threw his helmet across the room in fury, cursing the extremists in his native language. Lisa, Martina sat perfectly still. Her smile had not changed at all. It was still warm and diplomatic and friendly. But something else had changed in her eyes. She activated her personal communication device. "Get me Captain Harrison, Priority Alpha." The connection took 40 seconds to establish. Jake Harrison's face appeared on her screen. He was on the bridge of his ship, and Lisa could see stars moving past in the background. His ship was traveling very fast. "Jake," Lisa said, her voice perfectly calm. "How far out are you?" 6 hours at current speed, he replied. His green eyes were cold now, not the kind, friendly eyes the aliens were used to seeing. "The situation has escalated. They killed a child." Jake nodded once. "Understood. We'll be there in 4 hours." "Jake," Lisa said quietly, "make sure your teams are ready for a complex operation." "Already done. We've been monitoring the situation." The connection ended. Lisa looked around the chamber where aliens were still arguing about rescue plans and negotiation strategies. None of them had paid attention to her brief conversation with Harrison. Chancellor Vextal was speaking about the need for patience. "We cannot let emotion drive our decisions. The terrorists want us to act rashly. But we cannot let them continue killing innocents," argued the Altarian representative, his voice thick with grief. Elder Thane was consulting with other Etherian scholars. "Perhaps we can find a way to meet some of their demands while maintaining our principles." Lisa stood up. "May I make a suggestion?" The chamber fell quiet. Everyone looked at the human ambassador with her calm smile and patient manner. "I believe we should continue negotiations while preparing rescue options. Captain Harrison's fleet will arrive in a few hours. Perhaps we can coordinate a joint rescue operation." Admiral Corvex shook his head. "Ambassador, with respect, your exploration vessels are not equipped for this kind of operation. This requires specialized military units." Lisa's smile never wavered. "Of course, Admiral, but perhaps we can help with intelligence gathering or medical support." The aliens nodded approvingly. This was exactly what they expected from humanity: helpful, supportive, but not presuming to handle military matters themselves. Humans were healers and diplomats, not soldiers. 2 hours later, the terrorists killed another hostage. This time it was an elderly dwarven trader who had been visiting the station with his grandson. The child watched his grandfather die, and the sound of his crying echoed through the transmission. Lisa received a brief message on her communication device. 2 words. Almost ready? She deleted the message and returned her attention to the ongoing debates. The aliens were still talking about careful plans and patient negotiations. They had no idea that their gentle human friends had been planning something entirely different. Jake Harrison's ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel exactly 4 hours after his conversation with Lisa Martinez. But as the UES Explorer appeared on the sensor screens of the alien fleet surrounding Proxima Station, something was different about it. Admiral Korvek stared at his display screen in confusion. That's impossible. The human exploration vessel is showing weapon signatures I've never seen before. The Explorer was not alone. 3 other human ships had arrived with it, all of them supposedly scientific research vessels. But now their sensor readings told a different story. Hidden weapon ports were opening along their hulls. Shield generators that no exploration ship should have were powering up to full strength. Chancellor Vextal opened a communication channel to Jake's ship. Captain Harrison, we're reading some unusual energy signatures from your vessels. Jake's face appeared on the main screen. He looked the same as always, friendly and calm, but his eyes held something the aliens had never seen before. Don't worry, Chancellor. We're just making some adjustments. Adjustments for what? We're going to get the hostages back. Before anyone could respond, the communication ended. The 4 human ships moved into formation around Proxima Station with a precision that made the alien military officers uncomfortable. These were not the careful, cautious movements of exploration vessels. These ships moved like predators. Lisa Martinez spoke up from her position in the emergency council chamber. I've just received word that our rescue teams are ready to begin operations. Elder Thane looked worried. Ambassador, surely you don't mean to attempt a rescue without coordinating with council forces. Lisa's smile remained perfectly in place. Oh, we're not attempting anything. We're simply going to resolve the situation. On the bridge of the Explorer, Jake was receiving reports from his team leaders. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner was already in position with his boarding party. Dr. Emma Rodriguez had arrived on one of the other ships with her medical team, ready to treat injured hostages. All teams report ready, Turner said over the communication system. We have complete layouts of the station, full terrorist position data and psychological profiles on all 12 targets. Jake nodded. How long have we been tracking them? Since they left Krillian space 14 days ago. We knew they were planning something. The aliens listening to the communications channel exchanged confused looks. How had humans been tracking the terrorists for 2 weeks without telling the council? Begin operation, Jake said simply. What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for generations to come. Alex Turner and his team didn't approach Proxima Station through the main docking bays like the alien rescue plans had suggested. Instead, they appeared to materialize directly inside the station itself. Later investigation would reveal that human ships carried teleportation technology that no other species had ever seen. The terrorists never knew they were under attack. One moment they were guarding hostages in the station's central plaza. The next moment they were unconscious on the floor with human soldiers standing over them. But it wasn't just the speed that shocked the watching aliens. It was the complete silence. No alarms went off. No emergency lights activated. No sounds of battle echoed through the station's halls. The human soldiers moved like ghosts, appearing and disappearing throughout the facility. Admiral Korvex watched his tactical display in disbelief. They're not using the corridors, how are they moving through the station? His sensors showed human teams appearing in sealed sections of the station, places that should have been impossible to reach without cutting through multiple bulkheads. But there were no signs of forced entry anywhere. In the emergency council chamber, Dr. Emma Rodriguez was speaking to her Etherian colleagues through a communication link. She was aboard one of the human ships, but her image appeared calm and friendly as always. We've identified several injured hostages, she reported. Broken bones, energy weapon burns, signs of psychological trauma. All treatable, of course. Elder Thane asked, how do you know about the injuries? Your people haven't reached the hostages yet. Emma's smile didn't change. Oh, we've been monitoring the hostages' vital signs since we arrived. We know exactly who is injured and how badly. But how is that possible without medical scanners inside the station? Emma tilted her head slightly. We have very good sensors on our ships. The truth was more disturbing than the aliens could imagine. Human technology had been scanning every life form on the station since they arrived, analyzing heart rates, brain patterns, stress levels, and physical condition. They knew which hostages were injured, which ones were in psychological shock, and which ones were strong enough to help with the rescue. They also knew exactly where each terrorist was located, what weapons they carried, and how they would react under pressure. 43 minutes after Jake Harrison gave the order to begin, Alex Turner's voice came over the communication system. All hostages secured, all terrorists neutralized. Station is clear. The aliens stared at their screens in shock. It was over, just like that. But as the rescued hostages were brought to safety, the alien observers began to notice disturbing details. The 12 Krillian terrorists had not been killed. They were unconscious but alive. However, they showed signs of having been interrogated while unconscious. Someone had extracted information from their minds using technology that was supposed to be impossible. When Admiral Korvax asked about this, Jake Harrison's response was casual. We wanted to make sure there weren't any other terrorist cells planning similar attacks. But how did you question unconscious prisoners? We have methods. Dr. Emma Rodriguez was treating the injured hostages with her usual gentle care, but alien medical officers noticed that her equipment was far more advanced than anything they had seen before. She was healing injuries that should have required days in a medical facility. When asked about her technology, Emma just smiled. We've been working on some improvements to our medical techniques. General Thakmore demanded to speak with the captured terrorists, but he was told they were being held in human custody pending investigation. When he insisted on seeing them, Jake Harrison politely refused. They attacked civilians, Jake said calmly. That makes them our problem now. But they are Krillian citizens. They were Krillian citizens. Now they're terrorists who threaten people under our protection. The way Jake said our protection made several aliens uncomfortable. When had the hostages become people under human protection? Lisa Martinez appeared on the main communication screen, speaking to the entire Galactic Council from her position aboard Nexus Prime. Her smile was as warm and diplomatic as ever. I'm happy to report that the crisis has been resolved, she announced. All hostages have been rescued safely. The terrorists are in custody and are being questioned about potential future threats. Chancellor Vextal asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Ambassador, your ships displayed capabilities that we were not aware of. Military capabilities. Lisa's expression remained perfectly friendly. Oh, those weren't military capabilities. Chancellor, those were just some tools we use for exploration and research. But the weapon signatures, the teleportation technology, the advanced sensors, all very useful for exploring dangerous environments and studying hostile life forms, Lisa replied smoothly. You'd be surprised how many aggressive species we've encountered in our travels, Elder Thane spoke up. Ambassador, with respect, the level of coordination and precision your people displayed suggests extensive military training. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. Well, exploration can be dangerous work. We make sure our people are prepared for any situation they might encounter. The communication ended, leaving the alien representatives staring at each other in confusion and growing unease. They had just watched a perfectly executed military operation carried out by people they thought were peaceful explorers and researchers. But more disturbing than the operation itself was the casual way the humans had dismissed it as routine. They acted like rescuing hostages from heavily armed terrorists was just another day at the office. Admiral Korvax pulled up the tactical recordings of the rescue operation and watched them again. The human ships had moved with military precision. Their soldiers had operated with perfect coordination. Their intelligence gathering had been flawless. How long have they been capable of this? He wondered aloud. His aide, a young Altarian officer, answered quietly. Sir, what if they've always been capable of this? The thought sent a chill through the bridge of the alien command ship. If humans had always possessed these capabilities, then everything the galaxy thought it knew about them might be wrong. The Galactic Council called an emergency session 3 days after the Proxima Station rescue. Representatives from every major species gathered in the Great Chamber aboard Nexus Prime, their faces showing confusion, worry, and in some cases, fear. Chancellor Vextal stood at the center podium, his forearms spread in a gesture that was meant to be welcoming but looked more nervous than usual. We are here today to discuss recent events and to better understand our human allies. Lisa Martinez sat in the human delegation area, wearing her usual diplomatic uniform and calm smile. She looked exactly as she always had, friendly and patient. But now the aliens found her smile unsettling in ways they couldn't quite explain. Ambassador Martinez, Chancellor Vextal began. The Council has some questions about the capabilities your people displayed during the recent crisis. Lisa stood gracefully. Of course, Chancellor. I'm happy to answer any questions. Elder Thane leaned forward, in his seat. Your ships carried weapons and technology that you had never mentioned to the Council. Military-grade equipment hidden on what we believed were civilian vessels. Not hidden, Lisa corrected gently. Simply not discussed. You never asked about our defensive capabilities. General Thakmore slammed his fist on his delegation's table. Defensive? Your people teleported armed soldiers through solid walls and extracted information from unconscious minds. That's not defense, that's advanced warfare technology. Lisa's smile never changed. General, you seem upset. Would you prefer that we had left the hostages to die? That's not the point, Admiral Corvex interjected. The point is that you've been concealing your true capabilities from the Council. Lisa tilted her head slightly like a teacher patiently explaining something to a confused student. Admiral, we've never concealed anything. We simply haven't felt the need to discuss every tool in our toolbox. Does the Etherian Collective discuss every piece of research equipment on their ships? Do the Dwarven miners detail every piece of mining technology they carry? That's different, Elder Thane protested. Research equipment and mining tools aren't weapons of war. Neither are our tools, Lisa replied calmly. They're tools of exploration, research, and when necessary, protection. The chamber erupted in voices as representatives from different species began arguing with each other. Some demanded that humans explain themselves fully. Others worried about the implications of what they had seen. A few suggested that humans might be a threat to galactic peace. Lisa waited patiently for the noise to die down, then spoke in her clear, calm voice. Perhaps it would help if I provided some context about human history and capabilities. The chamber fell silent. Everyone leaned forward to listen. Lisa activated a holographic display that showed images of Earth, humanity's homeworld. Our planet is what galactic surveyors classify as a Class 12 death world. The gravity is higher than most inhabited planets. The weather is violent and unpredictable. The native life forms are unusually aggressive. The images showed massive storms, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and various Earth animals hunting each other. The aliens watched with growing amazement. Humans evolved on a world where almost everything was trying to kill us, Lisa continued. Large predators, poisonous plants, deadly diseases, natural disasters. We learned to survive by being smarter, faster, and more adaptable than anything else on our planet. New images appeared showing human history. Stone tools, farming, cities, and eventually, space travel. But mixed in with the progress were images of human conflicts, weapons, and military organizations. We also learned to work together in ways that other species find unusual. Human pack-hunting behavior evolved into complex military tactics. Our ability to communicate abstract concepts allowed us to coordinate large-scale operations. Our tool-making skills developed into advanced technology. Elder Thane was taking notes frantically. But your literature, your art, your philosophy all speak of peace and harmony. Lisa nodded. And we do value peace and harmony. That's exactly why we became so good at warfare. Peace is only possible when you can protect it from those who would destroy it. Admiral Corvex asked, "How many of your exploration ships carry these hidden weapons?" "All of them," Lisa answered simply. The chamber fell silent again. Dozens of human ships traveled throughout the galaxy, visiting alien worlds, conducting research, engaging in trade. Ships that everyone had assumed were harmless civilian vessels. General Thakmore's voice was quiet now. "How many worlds could you conquer if you chose to?" Lisa considered the question seriously. "All of them, General, but we don't choose to. We prefer cooperation to conquest." She activated new displays showing human activities throughout the galaxy over the past 3 years. But now, with context, the aliens could see patterns they had missed before. Every human trade route passed through strategic locations. Every human research station was positioned to monitor important space lanes. Every human diplomatic mission had gathered detailed information about local defenses, resources, and political structures. Dr. Emma Rodriguez appeared on the communication screen from her research station. Her friendly smile looked different now to the aliens watching. "I've been asked to share some of my research findings," she said pleasantly. "Over the past 3 years, I've conducted detailed studies of every species in the Galactic Council." She began displaying data that made the alien representatives shift uncomfortably in their seats. Biological weaknesses, psychological pressure points, social structures that could be exploited, military capabilities and limitations. "This is fascinating work," Emma continued. "Each species has unique characteristics that make them vulnerable to different types of pressure. For instance, Krillians respond well to direct challenges but poorly to psychological warfare. Altarians can be manipulated through their emotional attachments to family groups. Etherians will prioritize intellectual puzzles over immediate survival needs." Elder Thane stood up shakily. "You've been studying us like laboratory specimens." Emma looked genuinely surprised. "Of course, that's what xenobiology is about. Understanding how different life forms function. It's purely scientific research. But you're describing how to defeat us, how to control us." Emma's smile became a bit confused. "I'm describing how you work. Whether someone uses that information for good or bad purposes isn't my concern. I'm just a scientist." The casual way she said it made several aliens shiver. Captain Jake Harrison's image joined the communication. "I've been asked to provide details about human activities in contested space." What he revealed made the aliens realize how blind they had been. Every pirate fleet that had disappeared over the past 3 years had been eliminated by human forces. Every slave trading operation that had suddenly stopped working had been shut down by human intelligence. Every terrorist group that had mysteriously vanished had been removed by human military units. "We don't like it when bad people hurt innocent beings," Jake explained. "So we make the bad people go away." "Go away where?" Admiral Corvex asked. Jake's friendly expression didn't change. "Away. Permanently." The implications hit the aliens like a physical blow. Hundreds of criminal organizations had simply ceased to exist, and no one had realized that humans were responsible. Commander Sarah Blake, head of human intelligence, appeared on screen next. She was a small woman with short blonde hair and bright blue eyes that looked very kind. "We've been monitoring all galactic communications for potential threats," she reported. "Every species, every government, every military organization. We track troop movements, political changes, technological developments, and social unrest." "You've been spying on everyone," Chancellor Vextal accused. Sarah looked genuinely puzzled. "Well, yes. How else would we protect ourselves and our friends? We need to know if someone is planning to hurt people we care about." "And who exactly do you care about?" Elder Thane asked nervously. Sarah's smile widened. "Everyone, of course. After 3 years of friendship, we consider the entire galaxy to be under our protection." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Under human protection. Not allied with humans, not friends of humans, but under human protection. "Lisa." Martina stood up again, her diplomatic smile as warm as ever. "I think there may be some misunderstanding about human intentions. We are a peaceful species. We prefer cooperation to conflict, friendship to hostility, and mutual benefit to exploitation. But you have the power to destroy us all, General, Thakmor said quietly. Lisa nodded. Yes, we do. Just like you have the power to hurt people we care about. The difference is that we choose not to use our power for destruction. We hope you'll make the same choice. The threat was delivered with such gentle kindness that it took several seconds for the aliens to realize they had just been warned. Chancellor Vextal asked the question everyone was thinking. What happens if we don't make that choice? Lisa's smile remained perfectly in place, but her eyes became very cold. Then we would be very disappointed, and disappointed humans tend to solve their problems permanently. 3 weeks after the emergency council session, General Thakmor made the mistake that would change everything. He had spent those weeks convincing his people that humans were weak despite their hidden technology. They showed mercy to the terrorists, he argued. They could have killed them but chose not to. This proves they are soft. The Krillian Empire's War Council agreed. If humans were truly dangerous, they would have displayed their power openly, instead of hiding it. The gentle way they had handled the Proxima Station crisis showed that they were still bound by their peaceful nature. We will test them, General Thakmor declared. A limited strike against their border colonies. They will negotiate and compromise as they always do. Then we will know their true strength. The attack came without warning. 12 Krillian warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the human colony of New Terra, a farming world with 2 million inhabitants. The colonists had 4 hours to surrender or face bombardment. The human colony administrator, a quiet woman named Beth Cooper, sent a single message to the attacking fleet. We decline your offer. The Krillians opened fire. Their weapons struck the planetary defense shield and stopped. The shield didn't even flicker. General Thakmor stared at his tactical display in confusion. What kind of shield can stop a full battle fleet? His tactical officer checked the readings again. Sir, we're not even denting it. It's like trying to melt a star with a candle. Impossible. Intelligence reports said it was a farming colony with basic defenses. That's when Jake Harrison's voice came over the communication system. General Thakmor, this is Captain Harrison. Please cease your attack and withdraw. Harrison? Where are you? Right behind you. Thakmor spun around to check his rear sensors. Empty space, no ships, no energy signatures, nothing. I don't see any human vessels. Look closer. The Krillian sensors suddenly detected something that made Thakmor's blood turn cold. The empty space around his fleet was filled with human ships. Dozens of them. They had been there all along, invisible to Krillian technology. How long have you been there? Thakmor demanded. Since you left Krillian space 6 days ago. Jake replied calmly. We've been watching you practice your attack runs, listening to your tactical discussions, and waiting to see if you'd actually be foolish enough to attack civilians. The Krillian general felt his confidence crumbling. You were watching us in our own territory? General, we watch everyone everywhere. It's how we keep the peace. On New Terra's surface, the colonists continued their daily work. The shield above them was so advanced that most of them didn't even know they were under attack. Children played in parks while battlefleet weapons struck harmlessly against defenses they couldn't see. Admiral Lisa Chen's ship materialized directly in front of the Krillian fleet. She was Jake Harrison's superior, a calm woman with gray hair and the same friendly smile that all humans seem to wear. General Thakmor. Her voice came over the communication system. You've attacked civilians under human protection. This is a problem. We demand the right to settle our territorial disputes, Thakmor replied, trying to sound confident. You forfeited that right when you opened fire on innocent people. What happened next would be studied and feared throughout the galaxy for generations to come. The Krillian fleet simply stopped existing, not destroyed, not damaged, not captured. One moment, 12 heavily armed warships were hanging in space around New Terra. The next moment, there was nothing but empty vacuum. General Thakmor found himself standing in a white room with no doors or windows. Admiral Chen sat across from him at a simple table, still wearing her friendly smile. Where are my ships? He demanded. What ships? Chen asked politely. My battle fleet. 12 vessels, 3,000 crew members. Chen consulted a data pad. I have no record of any Krillian fleet entering this system. Thakmor realized with growing horror that she was telling the truth. According to every sensor, every computer, every record in the galaxy, his attack fleet had never existed. But the crew members, their families will report them missing. Chen shook her head gently. General, there are no missing crew members. There never were any crew members. Your government never authorized any attack on human colonies. The implications sank in slowly. Humanity hadn't just destroyed his fleet. They had erased it from history. Every computer record, every personnel file, every memory of those ships and their crews had been wiped from existence. How is that possible? We're very good with technology, Chen replied. And we really don't like it when people hurt innocent civilians. General Thakmor was returned to Krillian space with no memory of the conversation. As far as he knew, he had simply been conducting routine patrol operations when he experienced a brief blackout. His government had no record of any missing ships or personnel. But throughout Krillian military intelligence, quiet alarms began sounding. 12 of their most advanced warships had vanished without a trace. Officially, those ships had never existed. But the personnel who should have been aboard them were also gone, and their families had no memory of them. Dr. Emma Rodriguez published her final research paper 2 days later. The title was Comparative Threat Assessment, Galactic Species Analysis, and Response Protocols. Every government in the galaxy received a copy. The paper was written in Emma's usual cheerful, scientific tone. It read like any other academic research, full of charts and statistics and careful observations. But what it described was a complete guide to destroying every species in the galaxy. Each chapter covered a different race. Biological weaknesses, psychological pressure points, social structures that could be exploited, military capabilities, and how to counter them. Even details about reproductive cycles, food supplies, and cultural blind spots. The Krillian chapter described exactly how their warrior culture could be turned against them. The Etherian section explained how their intellectual curiosity could be used to make them ignore obvious threats. The Altarian analysis detailed how their emotional bonds could be exploited to control entire populations. Elder Thane read the paper 3 times, his hands shaking. Everything in it was accurate. Every weakness his people had, every fear they tried to hide, every vulnerability they thought was secret. The paper's conclusion was written in Emma's friendly, helpful tone. Based on this analysis, any hypothetical conflict between humanity and other galactic species would result in rapid human victory through a combination of technological superiority, strategic planning, and detailed knowledge of target species characteristics. However, humanity prefers cooperation to conflict and hopes this research will remain purely academic. The final paragraph made every alien leader wake up in cold sweats. It should be noted that this research represents only publicly available information. Classified human intelligence capabilities and military technologies are significantly more advanced than anything described in this paper. Fortunately, humanity has no desire to demonstrate these capabilities except in defense of innocent life. Chancellor Vextel called an emergency vote 3 days after the paper's publication. The motion was simple: grant humanity permanent seats on every governing body in the Galactic Council, including the High Tribunal, the Military Command, the Economic Council, and the Judicial Review Board. The vote was unanimous. Even General Thakmor, who had no memory of losing a battle fleet, voted yes. Lisa Martinez accepted the honor with her characteristic warm smile. Humanity is grateful for this expression of trust and friendship. We promise to continue being good neighbors and helpful friends to everyone in the galaxy. The alien representatives smiled back and applauded politely, but their sleep would never be quite as peaceful as it had been before. They had learned that the gentle humans were gentle by choice, not by nature, and they had learned that disappointed humans solved their problems by making them disappear entirely. In her private quarters that night, Lisa Martinez looked out at the stars and allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. The galaxy was finally understanding its place in the universe. They were all safe now, protected by their human guardians, whether they wanted to be or not. The gentle monsters wearing human faces would make sure of that.